You know that feeling when you're scrolling through your phone late at night and you stumble across someone talking about their net worth. Maybe it's some influencer casually mentioning they hit $1 million before 30, or maybe it's just another article telling you what you should have saved by now. And for a second, you feel this weird mix of curiosity and discomfort. Like, where do I even stand? Am I doing okay? Am I behind? Am I poor? Here's the thing. Most of us have no idea what net worth actually means in real life. We hear the word thrown around, we see the numbers, but we don't really know what it feels like to be rich, what it takes to feel comfortable, or where the line between struggling and surviving actually sits. And honestly, that confusion isn't your fault, because net worth has become this bizarre measuring stick that everyone uses differently, and nobody really explains. So today, I want to talk about this, not in some technical spreadsheet kind of way, but in a way that actually makes sense for how you live. Because understanding where you stand isn't about comparing yourself to billionaires or Instagram millionaires. It's about understanding what financial security actually feels like and what it takes to get there. Let's start with the obvious question. What even is net worth? On paper, it's simple. It's everything you own minus everything you owe. Your bank accounts, your car, your home if you own one, your retirement accounts, all of that. Then you subtract your debts, student loans, credit cards, mortgage, car payments. What's left is your net worth. That's the number. But here's where it gets messy. Because that number doesn't tell you how you feel. It doesn't tell you if you're stressed about rent, or if you sleep well at night, or if you can handle an emergency without panicking. And that's the part most people miss. You could have a net worth of $200,000 and still feel broke if most of that is locked up in a retirement account you can't touch for 30 years. Or you could have a net worth of negative $50,000 and still feel okay if you have a stable job and a plan to pay things down. The number matters, sure, but the context matters more. And here's the part that really messes with people. Society has created these invisible benchmarks that nobody agrees on. One article says you're rich at $1 million. Another says you're barely middle class. One influencer says $10,000 in savings makes you better off than most Americans. Another says if you're not investing six figures, you're falling behind. So, what's the truth? The truth is, it depends. And I know that's frustrating to hear, but stick with me, because that's actually the most honest answer you're going to get. Let's break this down into three categories that people actually care about: poor, comfortable, and rich. But instead of just throwing numbers at you, I want to explain what each one feels like, because that's what really matters. What does poor actually mean? When most people hear poor, they think of someone with no money at all. But financially, being poor isn't just about income. It's about net worth being negative or close to zero and not having a safety net. Let's say your net worth is negative $30,000. Maybe you've got student loans, some credit card debt, and you're renting an apartment. You're making enough to cover your bills most months, but there's no cushion. If your car breaks down, that's a crisis. If you lose your job, you're in trouble within weeks, maybe days. That's what financial poverty feels like. It's not always about being homeless or starving. It's about living on the edge. It's checking your bank account before you buy groceries. It's saying no to things you want because you genuinely can't afford them, not because you're being disciplined. It's that constant low-level anxiety that something unexpected could derail everything. And here's the thing most people don't talk about. A huge percentage of people live like this. In the US, the median net worth for people under 35 is around $14,000. For people in their 30s, it's around $60,000. And that includes home equity. Subtract the mortgage, and a lot of people are sitting closer to zero than they'd like to admit. So if that's you, you're not alone. You're not failing. You're just living in a system that makes building wealth really, really hard when you're starting from scratch. What does comfortable actually mean? Now let's talk about comfortable. This is the zone most people are trying to reach. It's not being rich. It's just being okay. Secure. Not stressed. Financially, I'd say comfortable starts when your net worth is somewhere between $100,000 and $500,000, depending on your age and where you live. But more importantly, it's when you hit a few key milestones that change how life feels. You've got an emergency fund, maybe 3 to 6 months of expenses sitting in a savings account. That means if something goes wrong, your car dies, you lose your job, you have a medical bill, you don't spiral. You handle it. That alone changes everything. You're not drowning in high-interest debt. Maybe you've still got a mortgage or a car payment, but the credit cards are paid off or manageable. You're not losing hundreds of dollars a month to interest. You're saving for the future. You've got something going into retirement, even if it's not a ton. You're building wealth, slowly but steadily. And here's the big one. You can make choices without panic. You can go out to dinner without checking your account. You can take a weekend trip. You can buy the name brand cereal if you want. You're not rich, but you're not scared anymore. That's what comfortable feels like. And honestly, for a lot of people, that's the dream. Not a mansion or a yacht, just the ability to breathe. What does rich actually mean? All right. Now let's talk about rich. And this is where things get really subjective, because rich means different things depending on who you ask. For some people, rich is a net worth of $1 million. That's the classic benchmark. And honestly, $1 million is still a lot of money. But it's not what it used to be. If you're 65 years old and retiring with $1 million, that sounds great. But it might only generate $30,000 to $40,000 a year in safe withdrawals. That's comfortable, sure, but it's not flying private or buying whatever you want. For others, rich is $5 million, $10 million or more. That's the level where you're not just comfortable, you're free. You don't have to work unless you want to. You can live off your investments. You can take risks. You can be generous. You're insulated from most financial stress. But here's what I think people miss when they think about being rich. It's less about the number and more about the freedom. Being rich isn't really about buying expensive things. It's about not having to think about money. It's waking up and knowing you're okay no matter what. It's being able to say no to things that don't serve you. It's having options. And the truth is, you don't need $10 million to feel some version of that. You just need enough that money stops being the thing that controls your decisions. Here's the shift I want you to consider. Net worth is a number. It's useful. It's something you can track and improve, but it's not the whole story, because two people can have the exact same net worth and live completely different lives. Imagine someone with a net worth of $500,000, but it's all tied up in a house they can't sell, and they're still paycheck to paycheck because of high expenses. Now imagine someone else with $500,000, but $300,000 of that is liquid and invested, and they live simply. Who's actually in a better position? The second person. Every time. Because what really matters isn't just how much you have. It's how you have it. It's whether your money is working for you or just sitting there. It's whether you're building towards something or just maintaining. It's whether your lifestyle matches your income or whether you're pretending to be richer than you are. This is where psychology meets math. You can be rich on paper and still feel broke. Or you can have a modest net worth and feel completely secure. Because you've built a life that fits your resources. The goal isn't to hit some arbitrary number and feel like you've won. The goal is to build a financial life where you feel safe, where you have room to grow, and where money stops being the main character in your story. So what do you actually do with all of this? First, figure out where you stand. Calculate your net worth. It's not fun if the number is low or negative, but you need to know. You can't improve what you don't measure. Add up what you own. Subtract what you owe, and be honest with yourself. Second, focus on the milestones that matter. Don't obsess over hitting $1 million. Focus on getting out of high-interest debt. Focus on building a $1,000 emergency fund, then a $5,000 one, then 3 months of expenses. Focus on starting to invest, even if it's just $50 a month. These small steps compound over time, and they change how you feel way faster than chasing some huge net worth goal. Third, remember that lifestyle creep is real. As you make more money, it's so easy to spend more money. The person making $50,000 a year who saves 15% is in a better position than the person making $150,000 a year who saves nothing. Wealth isn't about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. And finally, give yourself some grace. If you're starting from zero or from negative, that's okay. You're not behind. You're just starting. And every dollar you save, every debt you pay off, every smart decision you make, it all counts. Progress beats perfection. Every single time. Look, I get it. Thinking about net worth can feel heavy. It can feel like you're being judged by a number that doesn't even reflect your whole life. But here's what I want you to take away from this. You don't have to be rich to be okay. You don't have to hit $1 million to feel secure. You just have to build something that works for you. Something that gives you breathing room. Something that grows over time. Something that lets you stop worrying about every little expense. Whether you're starting with debt, or you're already comfortable, or you're somewhere in between, wherever you are, you can take the next step. You can make one decision today that's better than the one you made yesterday. And that's all this really is. A series of small, boring, unglamorous decisions that add up to something bigger. You're not poor because you don't have $1 million. You're not failing because you're not where someone else is. You're just on your own path. And as long as you're moving forward, you're doing just fine. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.